Lower back pain is one of the most common reasons for seeking physiotherapy, and I'm sure this scene sounds familiar to you. Patients arrive pointing directly to their lower back, talking about stiffness, discomfort when walking, or pain when standing for a while. And then we do what we usually do. Focus on the lumbar area, work on the paravertebral muscles, the core, mobilize. But here's where it gets interesting. In many of these cases, there is a key muscular relationship that goes unnoticed and could be explaining a large part of the problem, and that is the synergy between the gluteus medius and the spinal erectors during tasks involving unilateral support. Every time we walk, climb stairs, or simply shift our weight from one leg to the other, the body enters phases of unilateral support. And here, the stability of the pelvis depends largely on the gluteus medius, which should take center stage, activating more than the spinal erectors to keep the pelvis stable while the trunk moves efficiently. When this happens, everything works well. The lumbar spine hardly needs to get involved. But when the gluteus medius does not fulfill its function, the body looks for alternatives, and one of the most common is to increase the activity of the spinal erectors, causing an overload in the lumbar area that shouldn't be there. And this is what we then see in the clinic. Patients with persistent stiffness, pain when walking, discomfort when lifting weight or when standing. And many times we think that the back is weak, when in reality the problem is that the hip is not stabilizing properly. That's why this synergy is so important, because pelvic stability is key for efficient lumbar mechanics, and when it fails, the spine compensates, tension in the tissues increases, and a difficult cycle is created where the gluteus medius still doesn't activate properly and the lumbar area continues to be overloaded. Now then, how do we detect this? Because at first glance, many patients perform the movements correctly, but their muscle pattern is still inefficient. And this is where functional tasks on unilateral support come in, such as a single leg squat, a loaded abduction, or the classic step down, which is a very useful exercise for observing this phenomenon. The patient steps down from a step, supporting themselves on one leg, and in theory, the gluteus medius should activate intensely to stabilize the pelvis. But when it doesn't, the spinal erectors fire up to compensate. And although the movement may appear correct externally, internally there is a progressive overload in the lumbar region. And here's another key point, because many patients spend weeks doing glute exercises and yet the lower back pain still appears. Why? Because strengthening a muscle doesn't mean the body will use it correctly. If the activation pattern doesn't change, the nervous system will continue using the same compensatory strategy, that is, more back and less hip. That's why some programs don't end up working, because they improve strength but not coordination. However, when this synergy is retrained, the change is very noticeable. The pelvis stabilizes better, the trunk stops generating so much tension, the load on the lower back decreases, and movement becomes more fluid. And the patient notices this quickly. Less stiffness, better control when walking, less pain during everyday tasks. Ultimately, the system goes back to doing what it should, stabilizing from the hip and not from the spine. So next time you have a patient with lower back pain, remember this: the problem isn't always in the back. Often it's about whether the hip is doing its job or not. And understanding and assessing this synergy between the gluteus medius and spinal erectors can make a huge difference to your results. And if you want to go one step further and really measure what's happening, you can incorporate electromyography into your practice to analyze muscle activation during functional tasks, detect compensations that aren't visible to the naked eye, and adjust your treatments with much greater precision. Get more information via the link in the description.